I want to talk a little bit about this what is a woman question, because it continues to be such a major issue for the American right wing. And over the weekend at CPAC, which we will cover later on in the show, the things that got the most applause were the most overtly homophobic and transphobic things. They were ridiculing pronouns. They were ridiculing so-called men and women's sports, and on and on and on. And I want to talk about it because it's like the big thing that Republicans now point to as their sort of gotcha. What is a woman? You won't even define it. And I got a great email from a doctor of sociolinguistics whose name is Daniel. I don't want to say more. I want to protect his identity. I won't even say what country he teaches in. But Daniel sent me a ton of the information and the research that I'm incorporating into this story. So the situation is as follows. The right loves to say, you liberals can't or won't answer the simplest question, what is a woman? So you can't be trusted with anything. You're not honest. You're pathetic. It's such a simple question. What is a woman? Just answer it. And if you won't, or if you can't, then it shows how bad faith and dishonest and radical you all on the left are. So let's start with, is it actually a simple question? Is the question, what is a woman, simple to answer? The reality is that it's not. And now separately, there are people saying, is the question even being asked in good faith by the right? And of course, it's not. They're asking it to make a political point. They're asking it to justify their pre-existing political beliefs. But let's put that aside. Is it a simple question? Defining common nouns is not actually a simple thing. Humans are terrible at defining common nouns. I'll give you an example. Define apple without looking it up. All right, well, without looking it up, I guess I'd say, it's a round fruit whose flesh we eat, and sometimes there's red, yellow, or green, or orangish sort of skin, and often it's crunchy, but sometimes it's more mealy, and many of them are sweet, but some of them are tart. Does that really help us identify an apple? Not really. There's all sorts of exceptions. There's many other fruits which fit that definition. So then I can say, well, an apple is Malus domestica. That's the Latin name. So when I say apple, what I mean is Malus domestica. That's just circular. That's not a usable definition. I'm not really telling you anything you can use to determine whether something you see is or isn't an apple. Now, in addition, no definition that I give you actually encompasses all the contexts where the word apple is used. The Big Apple, meaning New York City, taking a bite out of the apple as a sales and marketing term, getting some market share. So the reality is that it's not unique that with the term woman, we define it differently in different contexts. The purpose of the definition is important. What are we trying to do? And I'm going to get to that in a second. And in fact, as humans and people who speak English, we can often agree on what is an apple without a definition with the looking at the context. So the definition itself is actually not that important. So then as Daniel wrote to me, the same applies when we're trying to define a woman. What are we trying to do by defining woman or thinking about what a woman is? And it depends on the purpose and the context. Consider this. If the purpose of defining woman is that you are a man looking to reproduce, and you're looking for a woman with whom you can reproduce, well, in that particular case, with that purpose, a trans woman with no uterus is not a good candidate for your purposes of defining a woman, right? In that context, you're talking about an individual with the female reproductive organs so that you can make a baby. On the other hand, if you're a man attracted to feminine individuals by Western standards, then for you, it might be quite plausible that any woman, meaning a trans woman or not, who has the female form that you're attracted to is completely and perfectly suited to the definition of woman. That's a different purpose. It's a different context. And this is where we end up with the bad faith Republican questions about what is a woman. They want common nouns defined so that they can either discriminate legally or so that it serves whatever political purpose they want. Now, there's a big difference between an apple and a woman. With apples, apples can't make claims about whether they are apples. There's no sociocultural element to apples. When it comes to a noun like woman, we actually do have to pay attention to who claims to be a woman, who is referred to as a woman, who is seen as a woman by society in order to build up a working understanding of what it is to be a woman in society and culture. This is all completely normal. Republicans don't care about it. They don't care about linguistics. They care only about scoring political points and putting other people down. So when they say it's so simple, you idiot leftists, just what is a woman? Just give us the definition. Well, what is the purpose of the definition? What is the context in which you were seeking it? What are you trying to then determine with the definition? This is normal stuff in sociolinguistics and in many other fields. They want to pretend like it's not. And it's as simple as just what is an apple, which, by the way, is not actually so simple. Let me know your thoughts. You can find me on Twitter @DPackman.